So the next submission is an oral presentation by Ms. Hrycyna, as outlined in CMD 18H 2.43. Please correct me.
Thank you. My name is Bozena Hrycyna. That was pretty close.
Okay.
Good morning. So I'm here today to join my voice to the many voices opposing the renewal of the license for the Chalk River facility. I'm here today because I know in my heart that we must move forward in a new way. To speak of the present and the future, we must speak of the past. And the Chalk River site is just one of many sites, as we all well know, that has been a place of irresponsible handling of life-threatening radioactive materials. I'm grateful to Ms. Buckingham, who spoke before me, for so clearly setting out the facts about the history of nuclear energy in general and of the Chalk River site and the accidents that happened in the 1950s. As other interveners have so passionately put forward, we must consider the history of waste dumps, leaks, and inadequate safety measures that are part of our atomic energy legacy in Ontario. It is easier for us to follow the current course that has been set, to debate for hours and days whether a license to operate the Chalk River facility should be renewed, without questioning first whether this facility really needs to and ought to continue operating at all. That is a question that I know must seem irrelevant or absurd at this point, but perhaps what it is inconvenient. The truth is the byproducts of the nuclear industry are permanent and lethal. No amount of nuclear waste is acceptable. As other inconvenient truths, the enormous amount of labor that goes into avoiding them could be redirected into finding a way to operate differently, in a paradigm of possibility, rather than one of scarcity, to forge a gentler and better way. Our human propensity for hubris makes it easy to scoff at the notion of a doomsday scenario or confidently state the so-called enduring entities will continue to operate indefinitely in the best interest of all the people. As I have been intently listening to the many interventions over the course of this hearing, I have been deeply touched by the level of care and dedication that so many people, especially concerned citizens, have put into defending the interests of us all, that is, our continued safety and well-being. This care and faith is something more lasting, more enduring than any multinational consortiums, experimental facilities, crown corporations, and GOCOs. I have heard most of the arguments for and against the license renewal that have been presented here. I am grateful for those who spoke truthfully and with integrity, especially those who spoke from their hearts. At this point, I do not think there is need for many more words, but I would like to tell a story. You may know this story, but I wonder if you carry it the same way that I do. My family, my people come from Ukraine, a nation plagued by the enduring legacy of a nuclear fallout. As we all know, the radioactive particles that were released into the air and consequently into the land and the water with the meltdown at the Chernobyl power plant on April 26, 1986. I grew up in the shadow of this horrific reality. My family and all the people of Ukraine, especially Belarus, living in utter fear and uncertainty for their lives. As a longtime volunteer for humanitarian activities in Ukraine, directed at helping children, especially orphans, receive medical aid and support through the Children of Chernobyl Canadian Fund and Help Us Help the Children, I have witnessed firsthand the crippling, the sickening effects of long-term radiation exposure. Today, as we speak, radiation in the soils of Ukraine continues to poison my people who live on the land and who will continue to do so for as long as we can imagine human life on this earth. This story is not science fiction. It is not an anomaly produced only by the dysfunction of the corrupt Soviet Union. Lest we forget Fukushima, it must serve as a very potent reminder of what is at stake here. It's my desire to live a long and healthy life, to live free of the unsolicited burden of radioactive waste disposal, free of the fear that such potentially lethal materials will endanger the health of my future children and my family. As you have heard other young people state at this hearing, we do not want it. Now is the time to make wiser decisions. To conclude, all I would say is I would echo the words of others who came before me and offer a prayer. A prayer to the Creator to guide us in wisdom and love, so that we may all know in our hearts how to proceed for the benefit of all creation and future generations. That we may know that we are sacred beings who have been given the gift of life, that we may honor this gift. May we use our immense power and strength as human beings for the creation of all that is good, clean, and safe for all future generations. Amen.
Thank you. Question? No. Dr. McEwen?
Thank you for the submission and the presentation. A couple of questions. One is one that I've asked before. And in your submission, you mentioned again, the perceived reduction in regulatory oversight that people read into the license. So you've listened to some of the explanations of the staff in how the restructuring has maintained and maybe increased the opportunity for rigorous oversight. Does that give you any comfort that there remains a strict regulatory regime looking at the way in which the site operates?
Thank you. I don't think I specifically referred to that. I mostly am really concerned about the disposal of the waste, which hasn't so directly been addressed here and which will be addressed later. I don't really have comfort because I understand what people have been saying about the regulatory oversight. But I also understand human nature. Yeah.
If I may, when did you leave Ukraine?
I was born here. My family was still in Ukraine, yeah. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for